Like right before meeting her, was in a kind of a serious relationship, and I would say it was my most serious but most intense and worst relationship. And it just took me to a place where I was like, all right, Lord, like I'm done with dating. I want to find a wife. I want to find my forever partner. Let's make that happen. I'm ready now.
What's up, man? It's your boy, Coach Crump, and my main man, Chizzy. You already know. What's up, man? It's the Boy Man King podcast, and we're super excited because we have a special guest from Detroit, the deep man. What up, though? You know what I'm saying? Mr. Mike Monday, Lundy himself, the man who's a father, who's a husband, who's an entrepreneur, videographer, photographer, actor, extraordinaire, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Give it up for Mr. Mike Lundy. What's up, family?
Mike, what up, though?
Them intros be killing.
I know, right?
Man, super excited.
Yeah.
This is an episode that I'm just grateful, extremely grateful, man, for the man that you are, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, to hear your wife talk about you and honor you the way that she does. And I'm not talking about on no podcast. I'm talking about I've seen your wife when you're not around. I've seen your wife having conversations when you're not around, and she's always honoring you. And that doesn't just say something about her. That says something about you. And y'all ain't just got together. Y'all ain't 2 or 3 years in. You just celebrate your 10-year marriage anniversary, man. And the sacrifice that you're making as a father, man, the work that you're doing for your daughter and all of her challenges that you do it with so much, not only grace, but you can see the love on your face, man, the drive that she provides for you. Man, from a man from afar, I just wanted you as a man. I respect you in everything that you do, man. It's an honor to have you on our platform.
Appreciate it, man. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. So Chizzy, man, the floor is yours, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Man, like I said, it's amazing and it's important to be able to convey both sides of the coin. And of course, on our platform, we often talk to men. We're introducing women to our platform, an important voice. Like Crum said, your wife spoke highly of you. She spoke highly of the experience, and the education piece is important for men and women in terms of how do we go from this social antagonism between men and women and how we bridge the gap, because we recognize that we can't do this parenting thing, we can't do this relationship thing without everyone being on the same page. Exactly. So it's important for us to hear from your side, because like you said, she spoke highly of you. Yeah. Mike, the 25 things I love about Mike. And then the design ring. And that's important to convey to our audience, because we don't want to skew the perspective because of how this thing plays out, man. So tell our viewers, what was the journey for you, and how did you come to a point where you knew you was ready to receive this amazing wife that you have?
I mean, having been in tumultuous previous relationship,
as we all have.
With
not me.
You have
I love you, babe.
Issues with verbal abuse, physical abuse, just the way you operate, and not like seeing certain things and knowing like, okay, this is a boundary for me. This is an issue for me. Some as spending habits. When you are in a relationship with somebody, you begin to see those things, and you talk about them. You have to, make your position known, because if you don't communicate, then you can't expect them to react, or you can't expect them to change. Right. And so when you see that change isn't happening, now you have to take a step back and assess and kind of figure out what you want to do. And then it was at a point in my previous relationship where I was just like, you know what? This is not what I want. But I was at a point in my life where I was like, Lord, I don't want to date around anymore. I don't want to play this game anymore. Right. I want to find my forever partner. And I got on my knees, I said a prayer, and 2 months later, I was working at the auto show, and I walked by the Chevy display, and I saw my wife, and I was like, wow. Now, let her tell it. I stalked her for 10 to 12 days straight. I came by her booth every day, but I was consistent, right?
Sure.
Now
You was planting seeds.
Exactly.
I'm glad we're getting the other side, man.
Now, she didn't know this, but I made up my mind I was gonna find my wife at the auto show. Now at the auto show,
hold on. What is it about the auto show that, man? I'm finding my wife at the auto show.
I mean, because it's models and it's cars, so it's just. I mean, you know, I'm like, hey, I'm find my wife here,
right?
You know,
you're gonna find her anyway.
She gonna be here, exactly.
Be here.
And so, like going in, it was just like I was drawn to her. I mean, she was fine, but it was something about her that. Just it was exuding out of her, and I was just like, man, let me just try to talk to her. So I had a small conversation with her the first day. Really didn't get to talk because I mean, as she mentioned in her episode, it was thousands and thousands of people at her booth. So I was able to get her attention, right? But I wasn't able to, you know, have that dialed in time. So,
did you know? Did she? Because you know your wife comes with a certain gravitas.
Yeah,
like she's Jessica. She wasn't Lundy at the time.
No,
she was Jessica. She's a public figure.
Yeah,
she's you know she's achieved a lot. Did you know leading up to you walking up? It was like, man, this may be an uphill battle. Were you thinking that? What were you processing at the time?
No, what I thought was this is gonna be fun because. I never talked to anybody with. It wasn't an attitude, it was a confidence that was coming off of her, but it was a humble confidence. Okay. That makes sense?
Sure.
And I mean, honest, bro, she was fine. So she was fine. So
I was like, man, don't go too deep.
Right, exactly. I mean, because I didn't know much about her, but she was fine. And it was like the little conversation that we did have, and it intrigued me a little bit more. And so I just, you know, I was just consistent on my lunch break and on little breaks that I had. I would go over, try to converse with her, and you know, that was cool.
So the term in courting is not stalking, it's consistent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I said? I was like strategic during a lunch break that I would go, but I was just consistently making myself available.
If she wanted to, you know. Yeah, exactly.
I see the strategy.
It's weird how interpretation works, right? Certain women will interpret that a little different.
Right.
But look, let's go back a step. Okay. Let's go back a step because you said two things I think is very important in a relationship because we don't really go too heavy in this conversation, right? But I think it's a good time because your wife was on the platform in the sense of like previously you had a relationship where he's like, look, man, it was verbal abuse, it was physical abuse, it was bad spending habits, but also you and your wife had experience between dating someone that already had a child.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of want to talk to like the mindset of what's kind of going on when you haven't had a child yet, but you're dating somebody who does, and then how are you navigating that? Is that a problem? Is that how is that working for you?
Going in, I didn't think it would be, and I think as the relationship progressed, and I mean, like when you're in a relationship, we're not. I mean, some people are, but we're not idiots, so you can tell. All right, this is probably not gonna go the farthest. So if you're feeling that, and you're kind of like me personally, I was feeling like this is not gonna necessarily go the distance. So I didn't want to necessarily build a big relationship with the child because now that's two other hearts. That's another relationship that's gonna be torn asunder in the grand scheme of things. So there was a distance there, but then there also was a protection from the mom. Like, hey, I mean, the kid was, you know, kids are kids. And so it's like, if you don't have any room to say anything or any room to do anything as far as discipline is concerned, and now there's a whole nother dynamic that comes in there. And it's like,
so her thing was like,
don't yell at my baby. Don't talk to my baby. Don't say nothing to my baby. And it's like, okay, I can respect that from the moms. I can respect that. But if we're trying to build, if we're trying to have a relationship, if we're trying to talk about marriage and stuff like that, where do we begin to
that's
bring
a
that
huge
into the
impediment.
relationship?
That's a huge impediment. I can relate.
Yeah.
Parenting a child that's not yours can be very challenging. So it's one thing if you have a perception that, man, I have to be careful how I navigate, being a father, being a parent, befriending, building rapport with this individual. It's another thing when the mother is like, nah, don't parent my child. Like, she has a daddy, all of that type of energy.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I can definitely relate. And to your point, how much farther can we go in this relationship if ultimately you're saying to me that I can't even be present, be in my truth, be a part of your life, be a part of your child's life. I can't be with you and not parent your child. At whatever,
it doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
Exactly.
So ultimately, it leads to a lot of issues.
For me, you educated me, so it's like a double layer because you struggle with it's for me. You struggle with, like, first is I got to get with you to endorse me, but then they still have a father
It's
somewhere.
Yeah.
So then there also got to be an understanding because I know how I am as a dad. I don't want no other man.
Exactly.
Being a part-time dad, situational dad, circumstantial dad.
Blended fellas are no joke, bro.
So I know how I am. So it's like if I'm struggling with you, and we're supposed to have an agreement to be on a page, and you're telling me you can't touch this with a 10-foot pole. Well, we still haven't dealt with the other elephant in the room.
Right.
The person has a biological father somewhere. You know what I mean? There's some understanding with that, and what I'm doing with, so it's like two things. So I see why people have when it comes to the relationship, what's the situation with the children or the child, because that determines a lot, you know what I mean, as far as level of investment. Right. So when you met Jessica, she also had that experience. Yeah. But also she mentioned that her mom was like, yo, having a family would be dope. That part of the clock was kind of happening. Was that something that was happening for you, that experience was showing you that you do want to be a father?
Well, I've always known that I wanted to be a dad. I mean, that's apparent with my daughter now. Yeah. But I've always known that was going to be like the best role for me, you know? And so I knew that in that situation, that wasn't that particular role as stepdad or as co-parent in that situation, that wasn't the right situation for me. Yeah. And so when I got with Jessica, we had the conversation of, we both want kids, not at this moment, but we both wanted a family. And we talked about how our relationship would look in the long run. And if you don't have that conversation in the beginning, then when you get in the thick of things, you can't be like, oh, well, let's paint this picture. Right. And it's like, well, this is not the picture that I had from the beginning. And so you have to be clear from the beginning. And that's one of the things that we were about. We were very clear about.
That's one of the things I have a lot of respect for you guys, because that was one of my big L's. You know, my pride just wouldn't even let me even think about, hey, babe, let's sit down and talk about all of the issues that we would consider. I just felt like, hey, no matter what, we're going to figure it out. But that's very ignorant.
But I also think it comes in phases as well, like in different stages of your life. So in the beginning stage, it's important to evaluate what your blueprint for your life is going to look like. Yeah. And, you know, your wife spoke openly about that. That's what you guys did. But I think as you progress through the phases of a relationship, not to say that the blueprint changes, but you step back and you evaluate, all right, we got these kids, we got these situations. How are we navigating these?
But what I'm saying is, let me be clear. You and Jessica talked about your blueprint, about family, kids, money, God, what y'all understanding is, maybe the parenting prior to it happening.
Yes. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, that wasn't the case for me. A lot of people that I mentor, a lot of that wasn't like, it was some assumptions.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You know, you assume.
I know exactly what you're talking about. For
sure. So it's like, the marriage was tougher because
Mhm.
we understood and interpret things differently when they happen
Right.
because we didn't have a clean conversation about these things prior to getting involved with them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not an easy conversation to have. That's not. I don't want to paint that picture. It's not necessarily like, hey, this is what I be, because if you have conflicting views, now you have to find a workaround
Right.
and a compromise. But
Sure.
And I think that's probably why you try to avoid it sometimes
yeah,
too,
it's
subconsciously.
easier. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like I don't want to deal with the disagreement about this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Me and Nick was watching one of our favorite shows right now, Suits, on Netflix, and Louis fell in love, man. They was in love, and like they was on high like never before. But he almost died, right? So he almost died from a heart attack. So he's like, man, if I die, I want to die being in love with you, because they were just dating. They were just having, you know what I mean? But he was like, will you marry me? So she was like, hey, don't ask me to marry you because you almost died. He was like, nah, but sitting in the hospital, I'm like, I really do want to spend the rest of my life with you. You know what I mean? But they didn't. So he done proposed, and they never went past the fun, lovey-dovey, hanging out stuff. So it's like, yeah, well, you got to move here now if we're going to get married. He's like, I'm not leaving Boston.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They go, they're like, but we're going, but what about if we never have a nicer house to have children? She's like, I'm not having children. Right. I love my career. He was like,
and then all of a sudden you're like, well, who's this person? What direction do we really have?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because what I'm saying is that was a dramatic way of just showing that these things that we should have really be clear on, and every relationship that I know that's doing very well, like yours, even though you had to fight through what you had to fight through in a marriage, everybody knows you got to fight through that making it work part, but having that conversation out the gate that we agreed to makes it a lot easier to fight knowing that we got that same understanding. But it makes it very challenging to fight,
right?
Knowing that we fundamentally disagree about this.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like that makes it where there's manipulation, there's resentment, because you know what I'm saying? Right. So kudos to you guys, man.
Yeah. I mean, like one of the things I say so much in our marriage is that our feelings don't matter, right? And when I say that, I don't mean that your feelings aren't taken into account or anything, but I'm saying your feelings change like the wind blows. Right. So
what's the big picture?
What is the big picture? What are we trying to accomplish? What's the goal? What is the meat of the issue here? Let's focus on that and not how we feel about a certain thing, because if we focus on how we feel, we may not even address this for years to come, or we may avoid it because it feels good, you know?
I want to take the time out to just to speak to the man, the individual, Mike. Mike has his own career. Mike has his own identity. You was an actor. You're a videographer. You're doing a lot of stuff within yourself. You're meeting Jessica. Jessica, she's a movement within herself. How did you guys navigate those nuances in a way that both of you feel fulfilled in your current roles and in your future roles? Speak a little bit about that, because there are some things that our viewers will look at and be like, oh, okay, she's a powerhouse, here's a powerhouse. So speak a little bit about where things are with you now professionally, how you guys, augment each other in that journey.
So Jessica says that I'm in like a supportive role. I guess that's what it would be called, but I look at it as this is my role. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, which is to keep be the backbone of the biz, to be the behind the camera, to be the production, to be everything that she needs to continue to be the successful face, right? Sure. And so like that's still to me in my role, that's still to me like being that powerhouse, that's still being that the main role, because like I support her, but she supports me. She has my back. She doesn't make me feel like when she came to me and said that she wanted to start a TV show and that we were just gonna have to do it ourselves, I'm like, bet, let's, like, what do we got to do? Right. It wasn't well, I got auditions I got to go to. I got all of these things that I got to do. No. What do you need me to do? And I feel like for a relationship to be successful, you got like it has to be two slaves working together.
Right.
What can I do for you?
Right.
How can I submit to you? How can I do all of these things for you? And then her to be in turn doing the same thing, but I can't worry about whether she's returning on that. I have to worry about my role.
So that's good, man. So kind of help us in what, like, publicly, right? You working that out. It seems like it's very seamless. It's like very clear about it.
It ain't seamless.
Well,
I promise you that.
Yeah, but at least in your head it is, right? But privately, how does that play out with, how are you both able to shift gears if she is so have to use so much of her masculine alpha spirit to do the things she do front facing for the type of business that she in, being a Black woman in America trying to break into any industry, right? And then come home and be completely feminine and like it's like, how does that work when that role of I'm just supporting you publicly, I play behind the scenes, I'm gonna be on making sure you straight, I'm gonna be making sure you getting that whatever, and like you said, that movement she brings to the world, how does that change up in the home?
Well, at first it didn't. Like, I mean, to be honest, like at first it didn't, but we had to have conversations and talk about it. Like, hey, this is what I need from you because I feel like when you come home, you bring this type of energy. That can't happen at home because A, B, and C.
Right.
And if she wasn't receptive of that, then we would have to have a further conversation. But she took that and then she ran with it. And if she came to me and was like, hey, when I'm doing my thing, I need this from you. I have to take that. I have to be receptive of that and run with it and do exactly as she needs. Because if I don't, that's going to cause a conflict. That's going to cause a conflict for me later down the line. So it's a constant of I can't continue to worry about her and what she's doing. But if she tells me this is what I need from you, I just have to be that. There's no questions about it. It's sometimes it's a struggle because it's a pride thing in my head. It's like, man, like I should be getting this, I should be doing that. But when you really think about it and break it down, it's like, you know what? This is what she needs from me, and I give this to her. Then on the back end, I'm probably gonna get what I want. It's just it's an equation, and it's just about like submitting to killing your pride and submitting to your partner. So that's that. I mean, that's really the basic.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, unconventionally, men are like, this is what I do, and you have to do this, and I'm me, and so the ego is a crazy thing, as we know. Pride cometh before the fall of a man, and I really applaud the two of you's ability to check that ego because both of you have this power. You're both powerhouses. She's amazing. You're amazing. And the compromise has to be the call of the day when it comes to almost everything. And of course, in most of our relationships, that's what we endeavor to do.
Right.
You guys are fortunate in that you have to do it professionally and personally in your relationship.
I think that's actually that gives us more power to do it because we have to be that in the public, but we have to be that in private too. Like we both work from home. So we've been around each other for 10 years, day and night. So while most couples, they go to work, they're not with each other for like 8 hours a day, right? We're with each other all day. So that's a lot more time to get on each other's nerves. A lot more time.
Preacher.
A lot more.
How do you balance date nights and all of that these days,
bro? It's really a juggling act. Especially now that we have a child too.
Right,
but it's those things that you have to. You gotta be clear. What the Bible says, say, write the vision, make it plain.
Right.
If we didn't have a vision board, if we didn't have those things listed, if I didn't have notes on my phone, oh, Jessica needs this, Jessica needs this. I always go back to that stuff.
Right.
Like, oh, she likes balloons. Okay, she wants a bouquet. Let me just go random. Like, but if you're not on that slave tip, that serving tip,
Say servant, help a brother out. Just say servant, help a brother
Help,
out.
help brother crumple up.
You,
Servants.
like
Two
you,
servants.
two servants
Yeah.
constantly serving each other, and you have to forget about yourself
Yeah.
because it's in our nature to be like, hey, well, I want my needs met, right? I want this, I want this, I want this. Right. We all do, but at the end of the day, right, when you stand before the Lord, and He asks you, "What did I tell you to do?"
Yeah.
I wanted you to be a servant.
Sure.
So now it's like I'm doing the right thing. I'm pleasing God, but I'm also pleasing my wife in the process. And on the back end, I'm gonna be pleased. So
yeah, I love it, man. So I feel the servant aspect of leadership and just in general, man. Like as a man, 'cause I know you can do it unto God, but I think if we be honest as men, like I take pride in how leadership looks in my house. You know what I mean? Like it ain't. I'm not just a resident here. You know what I mean? Like I'm here on purpose. I'm here on intention. I'm here on development. Like I'm here on protection. Like I'm here on providing. Like I'm here on exemplifying. Like I'm here on some energy. As you know, like I said, share the dynamics between you and Jess in your life and the work that you've done and being a father. Like if you can leave men with just like some staples about, separate from the God piece, we know having be strong life, but it's some principles, it's a code that you operate for you to, you talk about being servants to each other, but like for you as a man, just in general, how you move, what are like 2 or 3 nuggets that you would just give men?
ask her what her needs are, right? And no matter what she says, just challenge yourself to just try to execute. Right? Like we were listening to someone on the way here, and Gary Vee said, ideas are they come like crazy, but execution is the most important thing. So challenge yourself to execute what she asked you to do, and just try it out. See how things change, because you can talk to your blue in the face to try to get her to meet your needs and do all of these things, but challenge yourself just to be a servant. Just not even to receive, just to constantly serve, and do it for a certain period of time, maybe 3 days, maybe a week, and just take care of her needs and watch what sprouts out of that. Watch what grows from that, because the seeds that you're planting are going to be, you're going to reap such a phenomenal harvest from that. And I think on being on that servant tip is the one thing that relationships are missing, but the one thing that, like men, we were, I hate to say it like that, I feel like we were made to be served, but when we take that role, the servant role on, it allows us to unlock so many other things in our lives.
I love it, man. Man, that's a great way to wrap this one up, man. Sure. Another great episode. Listen, follow the Boy Man King podcast. It's on all platforms. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, Boy Man King podcast, and make sure you follow us on IG. What can they get more information about you, man?
Check out theMondayBrand.com.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Let's go, man.
Yes,
and
sir.
Look, it's the Boy Man King, where the journey continues.
That's a good one.
Yeah, man. Great job. Thank you.